are you,
Hi,
Raj?
I'm good, thanks.
It seems that I haven't been seeing you for days.
Missing me already, right?
Yeah.
I know. I would miss me if I didn't see me myself.
Yes, and we have a special guest or a special guest host, yeah, we can call her, who is making her debut experience in Morning Bell, and she knows about practice, report, and write about business as well. She also runs her own gaming company, and we also featured about it about 2 weeks ago in our Capital Talk. She's none other than the Business Times senior journalist, Jun Ramli. 10 years experience,
Wow.
and she is here.
Amazing.
So Jun, tell us a little bit about yourself besides the 10 years experience.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I've been a journalist for 10 years and I've been writing business reporting for the last 4 years for NST under Business Times.
Welcome to the Morning Bell family then, eh?
True.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And how is your business doing?
Oh, my business is doing great. There's a lot of write-ups and everything. Thank you very much.
That's good. So you can have like two things. You know, you're a journalist, you can promote your own thing as well in your column.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Obviously, the best of both worlds, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you can tweet anything for adverts. All right, so let's move on to the headlines, which are making our daily business papers today. On the front, we have UDA may sell BB Plaza. Business Times reported Chairman Dato' Nur Jazlan Muhammad said the prime property could cost around 374 million ringgit, with a further 100 million ringgit required to compensate BB Plaza retailers who had to leave before their lease expired. Speaking to Business Times after launching UDA Holdings' 13 million ringgit IT transformation program yesterday, Nur Jazlan said a construction of the underground station would also affect Bumiputra businesses, as at least 60% of the 150 odd retailers at BB Plaza, which is owned by UDA and built in the 1970s, are Bumiputra's. MRT Corp plans to take over the land fronting at BB Plaza and the adjacent Yayasan Selangor building next month to start work on the underground station, which is one of the 13 stations for the 51-kilometer Sungai Buloh Kajang MRT line. Another historical building will be gone. So, will the people in the center of the city will be missing, or should we actually focus on the new things coming up?
Well, at the end of the day, as we all know, development and progress is very essential. The point is trying to find a balance between progress and keeping your history or historical sites. Now, with regards to Bukit Bintang Plaza, I think you see the trend these days in terms of modern families, the new generation. It's now about Pavilion, Star Hill, KLCC, your One Utamas, and I guess the nostalgic bits like Bukit Bintang Plaza, Sungai Wang Plaza, I guess it's a bit behind times already. So at the end of the day, I guess while it's nostalgic, but we have to move forward.
We have to move forward because we are actually in the middle of the city anyways, right? And then we actually grow up in the area which we call metropolitan. So it develops, but okay, to renovate, of course, it's really costly. Yeah, so they will actually leave it as it is. But what do you think, Jun? We're talking about public transportation here.
Yeah, I think MRT is a must, you know, and I'm sure because we are starting a bit late.
It's a must, meaning no second thoughts.
No, I mean, there's going to be a bit of a, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of follow-up stories from this, because you know it's not going to end here, because I'm sure the government is going to, you know, haggle the price a bit, because 374 million is a lot of money, but eventually
to compensate the retailers.
Yeah, eventually
to buy the building.
To buy the building and the retailers.
Yeah.
So eventually there will be, you know, being Malaysians, right? Eventually there will be a settlement, and you know we will get the LRT, but the MRT, sorry. But the thing is, I think MRT is a must, because in our country there's a lot of people taking cars every day to work, and you know, it's the way forward. If we want to be a developed nation, we have to have a sound public transportation, and probably these are the baby steps to achieving that. So I expect to see a lot of like I said, you know, a lot of stories after this in regards to this development.
Yeah.
Because we have already read stories before this, you know, when people have have some kind of disagreement with the government because they want to take their land and they want to. So
As you always see it on TV as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a similar thing, but we hope the outcome will be positive lah. It won't be so
Right.
You see, one of the most crucial things about this is there will always be some people who will not be happy. I mean, majority and the minority at the end of the day. So from the government's perspective, you have to look at the needs of the masses. Now, for example, the traders, of course, wouldn't be happy because they've been selling their goods where they are for many, many years. And now you want them to move out. For them, it's like, where else can we find an alternative site in such a central location at the price or the rent which they are enjoying right now? Can you imagine you say, oh, I'm sorry, why don't you consider moving to Pavilion? Why don't you move to Star Hill? I don't think that's going to happen. So you can see the dilemma for them. But end of the day, as June has put it very aptly, public transportation is crucial. And that is the Golden Triangle, that city centre. That's one of the most congested areas in the Klang Valley. So by having the MRT smack in the middle there, it will take the pressures off other forms of public transportation, your monorails, your LRTs, and may encourage those working in that area to consider taking public transportation.
All right. But okay, adding on to that, talking about the cost just now, 374 million ringgit is for the building, and for the 100 million to compensate the retailers, right? Okay, but 6 months ago, they actually this is not the first time because MRT Corp also paid 80 million ringgit, and 40 million also. Respectively for UOA Superstore and Plaza Warisan in KL. And the 40 million was below the market price to build an MRT station at the sites as well. So do you think this time they will have the deal?
I am
for 374 million ringgit.
I'm sure it's going to be a bit of a negotiation.
It will be,
but the 100 million for the retailers is
it's
pretty
a lot,
good. Yeah, it's a pretty
it's
good.
Massive.
150.
It's not confirmed yet, but 100 million. If you think about it, even if there's 1,000 traders there, 100 million?
No, 150 odd.
150 odd?
Yeah, it's in the
maybe because we're talking about
I want to be a trader
retailers.
there.
Yes, they will practically be a millionaire.
Yeah,
I mean,
almost a million.
Yeah,
do you think the price is because the retailers have been there for years?
No, I think
Maybe
it's just
more
to
than
make
10.
them happy.
In essence, now, okay, with regards to this in terms of the pricing, I believe UDA is in a position of power because that is probably the only site available to build a MRT station.
Yeah, they
so of
admitted
course they
that-
say, well, if you decide if you don't give us our price which you want, I'm sorry, we're not going to sell to you. And that's where the problems will arise. And what other alternative sites do they have? They don't have. But given the fact that UDA is closely linked to the government, so obviously they will come to some form of agreement whereby there will be a win-win situation at the end of the day. Perhaps they might say, okay, UDA, you sell us at a X price, and we will see if we can allocate another plot of land, hopefully somewhere else, not too far away, whereby we can give you in part cash compensation, and maybe you can in terms of land as well, for you to perhaps, because UDA is also a developer, right? And I think they're looking at the Pudu Jail, right?
Pudu
Which is
Jail.
just round the corner, not too far away, about 5 minutes drive away. So maybe there could be some other thoughts in terms of the agreement, in terms of the
Talking about Pudu Jail, quite a quiet issue, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, that's another issue.
I was there when the
You mean you were in jail?
when the closing. I don't know, outside taking pictures. Another historical building,
Yes.
which has gone.
Of
Yes.
course. Look,
Yes.
all these properties, whether you like it or not, they are prime land. There's no other property. That's why now you see this one, it's going, and other sites are also, the commercial incentive is so great that sometimes heritage or history is put on the back burner.
All
so
right.
money talks at the end of the day.
Okay, so June, would you like to conclude on this story before you move
I'd
on?
like to say something because this story can be a sensitive issue. Okay,
But it's pretty common.
Yeah, they can actually
English.
turn it into a political issue. So it has to be very tactfully dealt with, and I really do hope that they do come into a amicable situation where everybody wins, because the LRT has to go. Like he said already, Nur Jaslan, it's a government agenda, and this is a government, UDA is government link, you see. So in the end, they would have to comply with the MRT, but how they reach there, it's a very sticky road, but hopefully, you know, it works out lah for everyone.
After the negotiations, as you said just
Yes.
now.
Like one more thing, they are saying whether to leave the building as it is or basically to restructure the whole thing. So it's still under discussion.
Still under
So we'll
discussion.
see what happens.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hope for the
We'll see what
best.
happens in the
Yeah.
months to come.
Okay, so let's move on to our next story, talking about, this is the good news actually for CIMB and AirAsia because they win big. Business Times reported second investor relations awards yesterday saw CIMB Group Holdings win big, followed by AirAsia Berhad. CIMB bagged 4 awards under the large cap category, followed by AirAsia Berhad with 2 major awards under the mid cap category. CIMB won Best Company for Investor Relations. Of course, Datuk Sri Nazir Razak for Best CEO for IR, Stephen Tan for Best IR Professional, and Best IR or Investor Relation website. AirAsia won Best CEO for Investor Relation for Tan Sri Tony Fernandes, while Benyamin Ismail won Best Investor Relation Professional. So we wish congratulations to CIMB, AirAsia, Datuk Sri Nazir Razak, Stephen Tan and Tan Sri Tony Fernandes and Benyamin Ismail. So there's no surprise, I think. We think that CIMB, AirAsia and the 4 individuals to won those awards. Yeah,
Yep.
and we have also other companies as well winning a few awards. So is it expected, you think, Raj?
I think it's quite expected. If you just look at the Malaysian landscape, which are the companies are consistently making the news over and over and over
So we've
again.
been seeing it coming.
And at the same time, sorry to say, no, not sorry to say, to be precise, making good news over and over again. Some companies, like another certain airlines, has been making the news over and over again, but unfortunately, it's always bad news, you know, less than encouraging news.
Yeah.
So it helps in terms of prominence, exposure, and the things that they're doing. And as of course, with regards to this, investor engagement is also very, very important at the end of the day. Transparency, dissemination of information, and of course, keeping people in the loop in terms of what's happening to their company out there.
All right. And based on your observation, Jun,
Yes.
can both companies and individuals maintain its success and same awards in 2013, maybe until 2020 for this for Datuk Nazir and Tony Fernandes?
Yes, actually, 2 weeks ago, my remiser called me and asked me to buy AirAsia Berhad. And he said, you know, AirAsia is a really good company, you know, throughout. I have cousins in London, and they all know who Tony Fernandes is. And CIMB, Datuk Nazir Razak is another stellar,
the trail,
stellar
in the
corporate
Asian region.
person. And both are Malaysians. And I see these 2 companies, especially CIMB, they're going into different, going into new territories,
That's right.
like, you know, in the south, expanding. And AirAsia is also expanding like crazy. I mean, which is good. And I see these 2 companies are really, really going to go far. And, you know, it would probably be another McDonald's or Coke in the future, you know, and it's
A global
good.
franchise.
Yeah, it's good that it started from here, you know, home ground.
But one thing I want to add with regards to this, if you look at it, they are where they are today because of leadership. Visionaries at the end of the day.
Even the awards is for the CEOs mostly.
I mean, exactly. Because look, the company is where it is because of the leaders. Some companies, big names, but they're going nowhere because
Do you want to
perhaps-
mention some?
No, better not. I think it's all overstated already.
Yes.
But sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes it's not the leader's fault. If you're thrown into the deep end and things are really bad, there's only so much you can do. You know, your hands could be tied. There's so many restrictions, complications, legacy issues, and so forth. But one thing is, with regards to AirAsia, Tony Fernandes is synonymous with AirAsia. The AirAsia brand culture and success all boils down to Tony Fernandes. They're like synonymous,
Yes.
you know, interchangeable. So if AirAsia does well, Tony Fernandes does well. And the way they're going forward, it is fantastic. Now the question is, if you take them out and replace them with someone else, perhaps not so effective, the question is, will they be as dynamic as they are right now? That's the question. So leadership and the management team is so crucial to any organization.
Okay. Although CIMB and Asia, of course, they are two different companies, but 2 different companies in a different industry. But do you think they will compete somehow in certain areas
I don't.
besides leadership?
I think they're 2 different. Yeah, one is banking, another one is aviation.
Aviation.
Yeah, so maybe the competition would be stock price lah, basically.
Stock
Yeah,
price,
but I mean no. I mean
Can't be compared at all.
No.
you can't compare. It's Apple and
It's apple and oranges.
Yeah.
If an investor is looking in terms of exposure, first things first, they want to look which industries are doing well. Like for example, aviation. If people look at aviation, it's a very tricky industry. So many airlines going bust, suffering massive losses and so forth. But if you want exposure in aviation, Air Asia will be one of those which comes to mind. Now in terms of banking, which tends to be a reflection of a country's economy, they say it's a proxy. If you want to invest in, let's say, in Malaysia, so you want a proxy of the country of Malaysia, say you're a foreign investor. So one of the stocks, one of the things you look at is the banking industry. Now when you look at the banking industry, who are the major banks which you're interested in looking at? Obviously the three which comes to mind, Maybank by being the fact that they're the number one bank, CIMB because they're the most aggressive bank, and perhaps Public Bank, although they are not so aggressive abroad, but they are very well run. Their management style in terms of their loans management, their NPLs, you know, they're very prudent in that sense and they're very profitable, although unexciting, but it's a very good stock to have in bad times, so to speak. So end of the day, it depends on what the investors are looking at.
All right. So talking about the requirements of these awards, I mean, they are looking actually at companies who are expanding abroad, right?
Yep.
Not only locally. So what happened to those companies who are very strong? I mean,
locally.
Locally.
Locally strong. Then they have to move up.
Well, looking at this one is specifically related to Investor Relations Award. So I don't think they're looking in terms of companies who are just aggressive abroad. They're probably looking, for example, a company which may be very dominant locally. They're not so much on the export side. They could still be doing very well from investor. That means any information they disseminate well. When the media comes, they give full disclosure. They engage the media, the reporting to their investors, AGMs, EGMs, any major shifts or changes to the company's direction. They actually disseminate information timely and effectively.
That actually attracts me.
Then in that sense, I'm sure they will do well in investor relations. Remember, this is not trying to see who is the most aggressive abroad. It's just that so happens that the way CIMB and Air Asia, they are one of the bigger boys. They are in terms of what they're doing abroad, but at the same time, what they're doing in with regards to information and engaging the investors is also great. Maybe that's the reason why there's so many people interested. Fund houses, fund managers, both global and local, are interested in investing in their companies because they look well managed. They are transparent. There's no funny business going behind. There's no surprises, no negative surprises, you know, in that sense. So that's the reason why they are popular stocks, and that's reflected in them winning the Investor Relation Awards.
What is that like? What is really interesting? The Malaysian Investor Relation Association, this MIRA, they even give mark on the annual reports.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the votes were only verified and accepted from legitimate investment professionals investing in or covering Malaysia. So, any last words you would like to say before we move on?
Well,
Raj?
there are still companies out there, even public listed companies in Malaysia, which are sorely lacking in terms of transparency. We hear all kinds of horror stories, even not late reporting, and then creative accounting, so to speak, and then announcements which are not forthcoming with major. You tend to hear rumors in the market. So one thing we like to see is more public listed companies being on the ball in terms of safeguarding the investors out there, because end of the day, it will argue well in terms of confidence in your company if you do that well.
All right, thank you, Raj, and thank you, June, for still being here with us. She's not running away yet.
Not just yet.
Not just yet. So we hope that you actually stick with us as well on channel 127 on Morning Bell. And meanwhile, you can always email us your thoughts, your opinions, updates at capitaltv.my or tweet us at capitaltv. Stay tuned because when we come back, we'll talk on Nokia. Not Samsung, not iPhone, but Nokia.
Nokia? What's Nokia?
Yeah, they unveil low-cost touch screen phones right after this.